you need to watch this video before you get married so that you don't enter your marriage and you see what you did not bargain for. If you're already married, please watch this video. You need to watch this video so that your marriage does not end in kata kata. Hi everyone, hi sweet potatoes. If you're new here, my name is Vera Ezimora. I am a writer, a storyteller, a content creator, a podcaster, a speaker, a lot of things. And the people who are already following, I call them my sweet potatoes because they are so dear to me. But if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I do hope you enjoy what you're watching. Let's get into it. So I want to talk to you today about marriage, okay? Some of you already know, but for those that don't, I left my first marriage in 2017 and my divorce was started and finalized in 2019. So I've shared that story publicly on my blog, but I talk about it still every now and then, and people, women especially, still reach out to me because of that story, and they're reaching out because of their marriage or maybe the marriage of someone they know. So today I'm here to talk to you about some lessons that I learned. It took me 6 years. My marriage lasted 6 years. It took me 6 years to learn the lessons that I'm about to tell you in, I don't know how many minutes this is going to be recorded for, but let's go, okay? So in no particular order. Number one, speak up, and speak up soon. When I was married, I did not speak up. And I know that might come across like, what? Verastic didn't speak up? Because online, I'm very, giving big cat energy. Like, don't mess with me. I'm a punch you energy. But at home, I was a bit of a pussycat. And let me, because that doesn't fully explain what I was. I wasn't a doormat, and I wasn't letting him step all over me. However, there were many times that I could have spoken up that I didn't. I chose not to because I thought that I was being a good wife. When things were going wrong, when his mother moved in and things just went downhill, I should have said something, but I didn't. I told nobody except God. I told no one. So when I eventually came out to tell people, hey, this thing is ending, this thing is crashing, everyone was shocked because they were like, what? What are you talking about? Why didn't you tell us? And yes, I take ownership of that. And everybody was like, don't ever try that kind of nonsense again. And I've learned my lesson. I thought that husband and wives kept their problems between them. Say nothing to no one. It was like a us versus the world type of thing. And while in marriage, yes, things should really be between husband and wife, but when you have problems, especially ones that you are not able to overcome yourselves, you should have trusted people in your corner. I'm not asking you to tell everyone about what's going on in your marriage. You definitely don't do that. But have trusted people, whoever that may be, whether it's a spiritual leader, whether it's a therapist, whether it's your closest friends, family, whoever it is, have someone that you trust, someone who is mature in marriage. Someone who knows the dynamics of marriage, understands the issues, or have that kind of person or those kind of people in your life that you're able to share with. Listen, like when things are going, you can sound the alarm and be like, listen, look, this is what's going on. Have that. So speak up, and speak up sooner than later. Number two, examine what you tolerate, because what you tolerate is what will continue. This is kind of piggybacking off of number one. In my case, the things I did not speak up about were the things I continue to receive because I was not vocal in saying stuff. And let me explain something. It's not because I feel like I'm painting the picture that I was completely mute and silent in the marriage. That would be a big fat lie. It was more of he speaks to me, for example, in a way that I don't like. And I say, I don't like the way you spoke to me. But that's the end of it. I don't escalate it. I don't put my foot down and be like, sir, no, which is what was in my mind to do. But I told myself, no, a good wife should be quiet. A good wife should be respectful. I don't want to escalate anything. I was always working on de-escalation. And I was with somebody who was like a ball of just, you could just spark like that, So I really wanted to always de-escalate. I'm not that girl anymore. If you throw me a pebble, I would throw you a mountain. Don't try me. I'm sorry, I'm kind of I'm kind of exaggerating. No, I will not throw you a mountain. That's not who I am. On a serious note, you have to do an audit of the things that you do tolerate to make sure you're not taking things that you don't actually want to take. It never ends well. Number 3, also related to number 1 and 2, stop keeping the peace. Do you understand? Stop keeping the peace, because what keeping the peace really is most times is sweeping things under the carpet. It's saying, okay, you know what? Let me not make a big deal out of this. I'll take one for the team. I'm not going, no ruffling of any feathers. The problem with that, if you are dealing with an emotionally intelligent person, a person who is able to assess themselves, they're going to go back in their quiet time and say, this thing I did was wrong. Oh, I shouldn't have said that to Vera. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have. Vera has really tried by accommodating me. That's what an emotionally, if you're dealing with a different kind of person, they'll see that as an opportunity to do more of what they did. So don't keep the peace, at least not all the time. Sometimes you have to show your madness. Sometimes you have to be crazy. Number 4, this one is a big one. Become a classist. Is there such a word? You get why. Let me explain what I mean to you. Being a classist, you know those people who are like, I can't, I'm sorry, but he's just not on my level. Be one of those people. I was not one of those people. I was not. I was a person, and I still am. It's just that now I have to be conscious, because for me, it's follow come, it came with me. It came pre-installed in me. I am the person who is like, I don't care what their background is. I don't care. If you're a good person, you've got good character, we can be friends. We can sit down. You can sit with me. I'm trying to not be that person anymore, because you know what? Truly, some people should not be able to sit with you. Now, here's why I said become a classist. My parents did not teach me to not be a classist. My parents taught me to be humble. My parents taught me that although there's some people you can't trust, don't judge people based on where they came from, based on how they lived and all these things. And that advice came with the best of intentions. The problem is when we're talking about marriage, that's a whole league on its own. We're not talking about just friendship or who you have as your roommate. We're talking about marriage. Here's the thing. Consider the person you're about to marry. Consider his background. Consider how he grew up. Consider the things he has experienced. Consider the way he thinks. Consider who his parents are. There's so much to consider that I did not consider. What did I consider? Love. I was like, all that matters is love. I'll still speak on this love one. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. But become a classist. Be that person who is like, you can't sit with me. Okay? You're not on my level. Be that person. It will save you. Number 5. Hopefully your marriage does not get to divorce. But if it does, understand that the person you are divorcing is probably not the person you married. And what I mean is, when you married him, he might have been sweet and loving and all this, that, and the other. People are bitter at the end of marriage. People are angry. Don't expect him to be sweet and loving and all the things that if he was, you wouldn't even be divorcing him, right? If your marriage gets to that point, understand those are 2 different people. Act accordingly. And number 5.2 is, when people show you who they are, believe them. If someone has shown you that he's your enemy, or he's here to hurt you, or he's here to belittle you, why are you still acting like he is your friend? You think because you are legally married that it makes him less of an enemy. It does not. Let me hold your hand gently while I tell you, your enemy is your enemy. Act accordingly. Number 6, speaking of enemies, sometimes the enemy is within, as in your house, on your bed. Sometimes. When I was married, I had this feeling of impending doom. And I started praying Psalm 35. Do you know Psalm 35? Psalm 35 is a psalm about your enemies. It's basically saying, God, contend, oh God, with those who contend with me. It's telling God that these people that set a trap for me, let them be caught by their trap. These people who dug a hole for me, let them fall in their hole. Let the Holy Spirit chase them down a dark, slippery alley. Let them fall. Let them, I was praying Psalm 35, but I didn't know whom I was praying against. It turned out that the enemy was within, on my bed. Yay! So sometimes the enemy is within, unfortunately. And without an enemy within, the enemy outside can do no harm. Do you understand? Imagine you thinking about all the enemies you have outside. Meanwhile, the chief of staff of the enemies, or the president, the provost and the president of your enemies is in your home, on your bed, eating your food. Listen, recognize the signs. When you spot the enemy, act accordingly. Number 7, marriage is a strategic decision. It should be a strategic decision. It wasn't for me. I was all about, oh my God, I'm so in love. But normally, marriage should be a strategic decision. Divorce is a strategic decision. When you're deciding who to marry, and this is for those who are not married, obviously. If you're already married, to God be the glory. The Lord is your strength. You look unto heaven, and that is where your help comes from. But if you're not married yet, make your marriage a strategic decision. Ask yourself that this man I'm marrying, would I be okay with my kids being like him? These are not questions that I asked myself, and that's what I'm telling you, so that you don't get to that place where you're like, WTF. Number 8, silence is not submission. Submission is not silence. I saw a video the other day. It was a pastor, and a Nigerian pastor, and he was basically saying that as a woman, submission, say you're talking with a group of friends. Now I'm paraphrasing what he said. You're talking with a group of friends and they've asked you a question and you said yes and whatever, and then your husband comes and they ask him and he says no. You tell those people that, actually what my husband said is the right thing. What I said is not it. And for the remainder of the time, you should stand there and say nothing. Do not speak unless spoken to. Listen, that's bullshit, okay? Silence is not submission. Submission is not silence. Nowhere in the Bible does it say to us that when your husband is talking, keep your mouth shut. You as a wife are called to respect your husband. Respecting your husband doesn't mean that he's doing something wrong and you sit down quietly, or that he's treating you badly or being disrespectful to you and you take it because it's my husband and I'm the wife. That is not submission, okay? Furthermore, we submit to men who are worthy of submission. We don't go around giving submission to people. Submission is earned. You want to be submitted. Gentlemen, if you're watching this, you got to come through with more than a third leg. You got to come through with more than that. It's not enough to just be the man. Every other man is a man. What you got? You got to come through with more. Men are born to be leaders. You need to lead your home. I am going down a rabbit hole, so I'm going to step off and go to the next number. Number 9, be your own advocate. When I was in nursing school, one of the things they taught us was that we were the patient's advocate. We were to speak up for the patient. We were to look out for the patient. We were to advise best practices for the patient, protect the patient, support the patient. Well, right now, you are your own patient and you are your own advocate. You are your best advocate. Nobody knows where the shoes are pinching you more than you know. So advocate for yourself and understand that nobody does it better. Yes, God and Jesus, they are advocates, but they ain't gonna come down from heaven to advocate for you. So advocate for yourself. And if you have children, advocate for your children. Number 10. I think it's number 10 because I'm like forgetting my numbers. I'm moving things around. I don't remember. But let's say it's number 10. If not, when I'm editing it, I'll try to fix it. Number 10, you cannot change people. It is not your job to change people. You do not have the power to change people. Don't try to change your partner. It's not your job and you don't have the power to do it. A person will change if he wants to change. Nothing you say or do will make him change. You can pray for God to touch him, but the best practice is to not even be with someone that you have to pray to change. Number 11, right? That still small voice, listen to her. She is smart. She knows things, and she most likely won't lead you astray. So remember how earlier I said I had a feeling of impending doom? So I did. I kept on feeling like something bad would happen, but I didn't know what the bad was. And I certainly was not thinking it was my marriage. The feeling was so strong that I called my parents several times to make sure they were okay. Because I kept thinking, why do I feel this way? So I started praying Psalm 35. That's when I started praying Psalm 35. Do you know Psalm 35? Psalm 35 is the prayer that says, contend, O God, with those who contend with me. And it says, it's basically saying to God that those people that are setting a trap for me, let them be caught by the trap. Those people who have dug a hole for me to fall in, let them fall into that hole. Let the Holy Spirit chase my enemies down a dark, slippery alley. I mean, hallelujah, somebody. That's what I was praying. But I didn't really know what I was praying for, or against rather, or whom I was praying against. I didn't know that the enemy was in my house. Hey, Chineke. So anyway, I was praying and praying and praying. And let me give you some examples of what this still small voice said to me. I love reading. And in 2017, I knew that Tommy, I think her name is Tommy, her book, I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one, was coming out the following year, April 2018. It was the book, The Children of Blood and Bone, or maybe it was the second part. That book, that series. So I wanted to pre-order the book, as I usually do with books I like. So it was going to come in April, and I was going to pre-order in 2017. But something told me that if I order this book by April of 2018, I might not even be in this house. So I did not order the book. And you know what? By April 2018, I was no longer there. I moved out in March of 2018. So, I mean, are you going to call this coincidence? Let me give you another example. Ada Verastic was barely 2 years old. There was some furniture I wanted to buy for her bedroom. I didn't buy the furniture. Why didn't I buy it? Because I thought to myself that if I buy all this furniture, it's going to be hard for me when I'm moving out of this house. My marriage wasn't over yet. I had no plans of moving, yet I felt like I should not be acquiring more property that I had to move eventually. And truly, I moved out. The other thing was, you know, when you order things online, they call me boxes. I would usually discard the boxes. I started saving the boxes. I was like, I might need these boxes soon. And you know, I used every last one when I had to move out. Again, I was not having this thought when my marriage was over. My marriage was not over yet. This was just that strong feeling that something is up. You need to pray and you need to prepare. And the voice was right. Listen to that voice. Last but not least, I think this is number 12. I deliberately saved this one for last. This is that marriage needs more than love. When I was married, or before I got married, I didn't think about these things. All I thought was, I love him. He loves me. Oh my God, we're so in love. We're gonna be in love together forever. Oh my God. Well, that's not how it happened, okay? And that's not how marriage works. Marriage needs so much more. Marriage needs character. Marriage needs integrity. Marriage needs kindness, empathy, sympathy. Did I already mention character? I don't remember. Marriage needs commitment, understanding, patience. These are just some of the things that marriage needs, that if you go by love alone, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. You will cry yourself to sleep. I did. Don't do that. Please understand that there's so much more than love. You can love the person, but what is his character like? What kind of patience does he have? Does he even have any patience? Is he a kind person? Is he understanding? Is he empathetic? Is he sympathetic? Girl, please consider these things. Like I said, it took me 6 years and a failed marriage to learn these lessons. And I'm never going back. I'm never going back to that place where I have to relearn these lessons. So I'm telling you now, if you're not married, consider these things so that you don't have to learn it. You don't have to learn it practical style the way I did. You could just learn from my mistake. One last thing before I go. In our community, I always talk about our community, Nigerian/African community. We do not talk enough about these things. If you are a person, especially a woman, who has gone through something, it doesn't have to be a failed marriage. It could be so many other things, whether it's immigration, whether it's fertility or infertility, an illness, job loss, starting a business. You need to share your stories. There are people who are looking to hear from you. As I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, because the reason I'm making this video is because I recognize that I need to share my own story, because I know that the reason why you women keep coming to me about these issues of divorce is because you know that I've gotten divorced and you know that I understand where you are right now. But I wish you all the best. I wish you peace in your marriage. Even if your marriage is on the rocks right now, I truly pray peace on your marriage. Thank you so much for watching. And listen, before you go, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, read the show notes. I'm going to have links to my monthly newsletter. Listen, if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, then what are you even doing? What are you doing, girl? Or guy, what are you doing? So subscribe to the newsletter. I also have an Amazon storefront. Please check it out. I'm going to be having a lot more resources. So thank you so much for watching. Bye. Bye, sweet potatoes.